Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Casual Sports Podcast. It's minus Alek today, but hey, it's still Mike and me here, Matt Morrison. Mike, we're rocking our Steelers shirts. What a great game that was last night. And, that's going to be the first thing we are going to recap about. I mean, I've been a Steelers fan forever. Mike, you love the city of Pittsburgh, too, even though you're mainly a Dallas Cowboys fan. But, man, what an epic game last night. Ben's final hoorah, final go-around against his division opponent, the Cleveland Browns. What a great way to go. I mean, how emotional that was. All the fans, we were all shouting, "Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben." We were going crazy. Mike, why don't you give your emotional side of that before we actually talk about the game? What did that mean for you to be there? It meant everything for me to be there. So,
well, I think it's cool no matter what what team you like or who you're a fan of. It's cool because you don't get those chances to be at that stuff very often. And Matt, we didn't know that it was going to be this type of game that was going to be Ben's last home game until a month or two ago, or when we got our tickets for this game. Like, hey, they were talking about, hey, Ben could be wrapping it up. We didn't know for sure until this past week, so we actually got to know for sure. But we talked about it too, Matt, on the way home last night. It's going to be weird seeing the Steelers without Ben. It's really going to be weird. That's all we've known. When we think about the Steelers, we think about Ben, and it's going to be weird not seeing him. But I mean, I'm sure we're going to talk about his career a little bit more. But it's you can't ask for more. You just really can't. You can't ask for more of Pittsburgh. When you think of the Pittsburgh Steelers the last 20 years, you think of Ben, and you can't ask for a better relationship between a fan base and a city with a quarterback. It's just that's what it is between Ben and Pittsburgh.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. This is, I mean, there's the stat right there, 26-3-1 all time versus the Cleveland Browns. I mean, he owns Cleveland. He owns the Cleveland Browns. Alek, of course, is a Cleveland fan. But, I mean, Cleveland on this side, I mean, they didn't show anything. Baker was bad, and, a lot of people at the game, we've had some Browns fans with us, just wanting to move on from Baker. And, I know our colleague, Alek Byrne, doesn't think that too much. I don't know what he's thinking now, but he didn't really put up that performance last night. I mean, 16 of 38. 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. They tried to make a late run, but that was quickly extinguished by, the kicking of Boswell. Boswell came in clutch, hitting some 50-yarders, 48 yards in that 50-yard range. He came in clutch in that game.
Yeah.
And then Najee Harris as well on the ground. Unbelievable. Just trucking people over. I mean, he rushed for 188 yards, 28 carries, 188 yards. Nick Chubb, they held Nick Chubb 12 carries, 58 yards. They kept Nick Chubb in check, and I mean that was the big disaster point for the Browns. They couldn't get Nick Chubb going at all. And Baker, I agree with that right there. Baker needs to be healthy. He'll be fine. If he can't, we were talking about this last night though, Mike. If he can't perform when he's healthy, then he should be gone. Let him get healthy, and then if he plays bad again, then it's probably time to just, okay, who's next?
See what you got.
See what you got. And everybody's calling for Stefanski's head too. I'm like, I don't agree with that.
Here's my thing with the Browns. I don't think, like I told you last time we were walking out of the stadium, Baker did some things last year, and don't give up on him so quickly, because this is a guy coming into the season Browns fans were praising, and again, he's been playing injured, and some people just forget that he's playing injured. At least he's out there trying. But if he comes back next year and he heals everything up, his shoulder, his knee, whatever he was dealing with, and he still can't get it done, like you said, you got to explore your options. But, it's like, who else are you going to get that's better right now? There really isn't much on the table. You're going to get somebody older, or you're going to get this or that. But and with the play calling with the Browns, it's let's use your OC Van Pelt a little more. Let's let him call some plays instead of Stefanski. Let's mix some things up, because it's been the same thing most of this season. Like, why are they not getting to Chubb the ball enough? Everybody keeps asking that. Let the OC call the plays and get the ball in the hands of Nick Chubb and see where he can go from there. But with Baker, it's I know we talk about on the show sometimes that he finds ways to win games. He really hasn't done that this year. He probably did it more last year than this year, but he hasn't. That's not been the case this year. And again, I'm not one to just forget what you've done so recently, because he was that guy last year, but he hasn't been that guy this year. And let's give him one more chance. I often say, who are you going to get better? Who give him one more chance, see what goes from there. And I'll talk about what Penn State with James Franklin, Matt. He gets all these recruits. He gets all these recruits this year. Let's see what he does in the next couple of years. If he can't get it done then let's see what happens. To me, it's the same thing with Baker.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's see what happens. And yes, I mean he didn't really come out and say it, but we all knew that this is it for Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, they had the tributes up. I mean, he was going around. I mean, he came up to us like we had a close season. When he came walking up, our buddy was like, "Guys, get down there! Here he comes!" We just sprinted down there, and he was like right there. It was amazing. But Najee Harris, this guy he was unbelievable. Like I said, 188 rushing yards. I mean, the guy was stiff arming. The guy was taking 3 or 4 guys with him. He had the 1 touchdown. That was the big run at the end that just pretty much extinguished there. I mean, the game was pretty much over. The Browns didn't get that onside kick. Ben was just going to, run it out. And, the Browns were it was like a 3rd down, and Browns were in that tight. It looked like they were in like a goal line defense, and Najee just broke the outside and said, "All right, bye," and that really sealed the deal right there. It was over, but that really said it was over right there.
Yeah, it did. And you hear Najee, and Ben even credited him to this, and when Ben was talking in the post game, like, he just ran different last night. It's because these guys knew that they wanted to win for Ben, and they knew that they wanted to win regardless because it's against the Browns, but they knew how much it was, and Najee was running extra hard last night because he wanted to get those extra yards. They were relying a lot on the running game last night. I mean, he had 28 carries. Benny Snell had 1. Some other guys had 1 carry. Ben even rushed for 1, but it was minus a yard. But so they were kind of running it last night, and Najee picked up the load for it, and that was pretty much their offense last night. And it showed in the way he was running that he wanted a little bit more.
Well, now we talked about their offense. Let's talk about this defense, man. 3 guys were everywhere. Robert Spillane was insane, but Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt. Alex Highsmith, 7 tackles, 2 sacks. TJ Watt, 5 tackles, 4 sacks. And that last one looked like he just completely riddled Baker. We saw it at that last second, and you just see Baker, boom, I'm like, oh my gosh. Watt is coming out of there fast. Every time we were watching them when they were like in our direction and the Browns were like in their own territory, like you could see how fast TJ gets off that line. He gets off that line faster than everybody. And Alex Highsmith, everybody was kind of nervous about this guy. This is a guy replacing Bud Dupree. Like Bud Dupree was leaving. Here comes Alex Highsmith. But he has really become a huge fan favorite. And how about our defensive backs? Witherspoon got that really huge interception from Mayfield, and then Trey Norwood, of course, at the end, getting that interception. I mean, just to get Ben to kneel it. Final kneel, and that was sweet. And I mentioned that, Nick Chubb just had 12 carries, 58 yards. They stopped. He had a 6 stiff arm. He had that big run with the stiff arm, but they kept him in check. Watt and Highsmith were everywhere. Watt got to him, and Highsmith all got to him in the backfield. Like they kept them in control. So, I mean, it was, pretty good on that defensive side. Browns defensive side, Myles Garrett, it's just, there's that stat too. 4 yards, per carry, and that's not Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is something else. All right, we've seen Nick Chubb perform, and he did it last night. And but here's the thing: they only gave him 12 carries. They should have gave him more. Najee Harris had 28 carries. They should have ran the ball with Chubb more. They should have. I know they got Dearness Johnson going 5 carries, but Baker Mayfield threw the ball 38 times, and he had 2 interceptions, and he had 4 interceptions the last game. So. Well, you're still sticking with that scenario. Let's throw it. Run the ball. You're good at running the ball. Run the ball. Right, Mike?
Yeah, I don't really know why it's that hard, and it's really not even. Yeah. You can make this argument with a bunch of teams in the NFL, not just the Browns. That why are you not running it that much? Some teams are getting so pass heavy. I make this argument with the Cowboys sometimes. You got 2 sweet backs. Why are you not using them as much as you should be? I know you can't run it every play, but you have Nick Chubb. And I
Yeah,
know
Nick
you
Chubb.
have one of the better offensive lines when they're healthy in the league. And
Yeah.
I know you're going up against a Steeler defense that's loaded up front, but the Steelers are running all game. It's a cold weather game. It's hard to really pass that much. It's hard to catch that much. Matt, we saw a bunch of drop balls last night.
Yeah, we did.
So why not go with the running game? I mean, Nick Chubb's one of the better. We've talked about this every single time with the Browns this year, especially when they lose games. Just get it to your best player, especially when you have a quarterback that's injured the way he is, like Baker. Just get it to Chubb.
Just get it to Chubb. Run Chubb. Run Chubb. But I mean, we could talk about this game. We've already went 12 minutes talking about this game. We're gonna move on here a little bit. That was our Monday night preview. What a great game to be at. Just this emotional. It was great to be there, and so we're gonna moving on now. We're gonna go into a little bit of college football just for a second. We got the Texas Bowl. That's today at 9, I believe. You got the LSU Tigers 6-6, and you have the Kansas State Wildcats at 7-5. Kansas State, I mean, they've came around this past season. I mean, they were up there in the rankings at the bottom of the rankings, but they kind of fell off. I mean, they've had some wins, but they've had some losses. They're like, oh, come on, man. Like, I mean, they lost to Oklahoma by 6 points, and Oklahoma State beat them 31-20 as well. They had some big wins. I mean, but they can't. I mean, they didn't beat Baylor. They didn't beat Texas. Like, they won, but they didn't. They beat the only good notable win was probably Stanford. They beat Nevada as well too. And wow, really? Wow. Kansas State, LSU has no scholarship quarterbacks available. Yeah, I mean, there you got Alek Koberna's pick right there, as he's still producing the show. He's still here, so you'll see those things pop up throughout the show. He can throw anything in here, so he's producing. He controls it. But yeah, I mean, I gotta go Kansas State here too, with that same reason. And the whole thing. Yeah, we know you have all the power.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. But I gotta go Kansas State here as well. They've lost to some good teams, but I mean, they did lose to Texas, but I don't see this. I don't know. I don't see them losing this game. I don't think that LSU has their guy yet. I mean, Max Johnson isn't too bad. They have some good defensive players, but the whole Coach Orgeron situation is just. I think it's weighing heavy on them right now. He decided not to coach this bowl game, and I think that's going to have a little bit of effect on them because it's going to be their first real game without their coach. I memean, this is the guy that led them to the championship, just a couple of years ago, Mike, and now he's gone. So
yeah,
I think they're a little depleted, and I think Kansas State has a better benefactor of that. They still got their coach and everything, but I gotta go to Kansas State here. What do you think?
Yeah, and you look at to open up when this game was first announced about a month ago. LSU was a 2.5-point favorite. Now they're 7-point underdogs. So it flipped within 9.5 points the other way. So that they know they're paying attention to what you just put up there with LSU not having a quarterback ready to even to actually play in this game. They're gonna have somebody, but I got to go with Kansas State too, Matt. I think they've been in some better games this year. LSU battle at the end to get to 6-6, get bowl eligible because they start out really bad. But they have a head coach, but he's not going to be active for this game, and Brian Kelly. So the leadership part of that, yeah, that kind of worries me, and not having an unknown as a quarterback going into the game, that's a big problem, especially for an offense that pretty much did struggle throughout the year. So I got to go Kansas State. I don't think they're that much better, but they're positioned better to win this game.
They are positioned better to win this game. Well, that's the only college football game we were covering today. Now this whole show is gonna be pretty much college basketball. So if you love college basketball, stay in here because we're gonna be talking college basketball. Mike, here we got this first game here. How about this game, Mike? The Auburn Tigers are taking on the South Carolina Gamecocks. Okay. Now before I get into Auburn here, how about South Carolina? They're 9-3. Okay, I know Auburn is good, 12-1, but South Carolina 9-3. Some questionable losses, though, but they have some good wins. They lost to Princeton 66-62, and Alek will like this. They also lost to the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers in basketball. So, and they also lost to Clemson. I know Alek will like that. But Alek, they're going right away, picking Auburn. They are the dominant team here. South Carolina, good record, but I mean, they should be teams that they lost to, and this is really gonna be a real test for them, and it's gonna be the start of a harder schedule. They got Tennessee coming up as well. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go Auburn here as well. Auburn is rolling. They have all these good players, Mike. I don't know what you're thinking here, but Auburn, Smith, 16.2 points per game. This dude is literally their leader. I like the guy, Kessler as well, 7.5 rebounds per game. That's one of their big guys underneath. Keeping out for those guys, man. They have a pretty stacked team here. They're 12-1. They have a pretty solid, strength of schedule. Their only losses to UConn, 115-109. They beat a good Loyola Chicago team. You know how I am about Loyola.
Yep.
They beat a scrappy Murray State team, and they beat LSU as well. So keep an eye out for them. Auburn, 12-1, they're ranked 9th currently. This would be a good win on their resume, and they got Alabama coming up as well here. On the 11th, so that'll be a good game as well. But what do you got here? Who are you taking? I'm picking Auburn here as well.
I like what you ran through, Matt. I usually like to look at the three leaders for each team with the points, rebounds, and assists, and Auburn, South Carolina does too as well, but Auburn has somebody different for everything. And I like that when there's somebody different for each category because that shows how balanced your team is, that you're not relying on a guy to get points, rebounds, and assists. And Auburn has that. And look at their only loss, Matt. It was to a good UConn team. And look at the score. It was 115-109 in 2 overtimes. So they can put up points too. And in most of their games, they put 99 against Nebraska. They put up 74 against the St. Louis team. I know that they're not on the same level, but there's some other good teams they put up big points against, and they can score. LSU, they put up 70. They went 70-55 against LSU, 16th at the time. I got to go Auburn too as well. I kind of like to pick upsets, but I just don't see it happening in this one. I think Auburn's the better team, but South Carolina might play well at home. They might keep it close for a little bit.
And look at that there last night.
Yeah.
We all picked Purdue, but I said it was going to be a closer game. I was kind of not confident about that. I'm like, oh, Wisconsin might take it, and there it is. Wisconsin actually upset Purdue, and that's Big Ten play right there. I mean, that's unbelievable right there. But let's move on here a little bit. We'll kill some time in some of these games. But this next game, Oklahoma Sooners versus the Baylor Bears. This one is gonna be good. Mike, why don't you give me what you got here first? What do you got?
You got an 11-2 Oklahoma team that's normally good in basketball the last couple of years, and a Baylor team that's 13-0. And as we think that obviously they're the best team in the country. It's defending champs. Matt, I talk about this Baylor team. They really haven't lost a whole lot. Some of the guys they have their point scorers and rebounds and assist leaders, they were there last year. But I like some of these Oklahoma guys. I like Goldwire. He's their assist leader with 4.3 a game. I like that. He only turns over about twice a game. He's putting his pick up. You got Groves leading them in points in a game with 14 and 14.3 a game, and you got Hill with rebounds. He's got 6.2 a game, and that's pretty balanced. And that's the reason why they're 11-2. I'm looking at Oklahoma's schedule. Their only loss to a Butler team. I know you like Matt. You like Butler. And Utah State. That's not really a good loss, but you can forgive one loss. And Baylor, there's nothing to even look at with their schedule because they haven't lost anything, and there really hasn't been too many challenges with them. And that's the reason why I think. Look, they can score the ball. Look, I just ran through with our pass game with Auburn. Look at the way Baylor scores the ball. It's going to be a good game, Matt. It's a good Big 12 matchup, and I've been talking about with Alek. The last couple of times we've been talking about these Big 12 matchups. This is a good conference to look at, and we talked about last week when we were going through our rankings and talking about Baylor. Some of the games they have coming up, it's going to be good to see. And this is a start with this Oklahoma game.
Yeah, that Oklahoma game is going to be pretty good. I like what Oklahoma's done. First of all, I'm going to go out here and pick Baylor. Alek gave that reason. They're on top. They're there. I'm not going to pick against them unless they give me a reason to. This could be the reason here, though. I like this Oklahoma team. I like their coach, Porter Moser. Coached at Loyola Chicago for a decade before coming here to Oklahoma, and the guy has knowledge of the game, and he brought it here. They're 11-2. they're really going to push Baylor, I think. But I think Baylor has more depth and they've been together more, and they're dominant. They're in a groove. It's going to be hard to snap them, but Oklahoma might get close to them. That I picked this to be a very close game. It might be an upset, but I'm still going to go with Baylor here, just because they haven't really gave us a reason to pick against them. They have been dominant. I almost feel bad not putting them number one immediately. I really do. Everybody put them all the way down 8, even though they were defending champs, and I think that was horrible to do. Why would you do that? So that's my point right there. Gonna go with Baylor here, but it should be a very interesting game to watch. So
yeah,
so what?
I agree, Matt. I think it's gonna be interesting. I think they're saying that this Oklahoma's 12-point underdogs. I don't know about 12 points. I don't think it's that much. I think they can hang around closer. You get it under 12 points. They're gonna lose. I think they're gonna lose this. I think Baylor's gonna win. Like you said, I'm not gonna pick against them unless I have a reason to, and they haven't given me a reason to pick against them this year. Not to say that Oklahoma can't beat them, but I think it could be a closer game than that. Like I just said, these Big 12 games, they're going to start being close games. They're going to start being important games, and this is going to be one of those games. But I got to go Baylor until they give me something otherwise.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. But moving on here, moving out of Kentucky, or we're moving on to Kentucky to LSU. LSU 12-1. They're ranked 21st. Kentucky is ranked 16th. They're 11-2. Mike, what do you got? I know you like Kentucky a little bit. Why don't you give me what you got on Kentucky here?
They're kind of flying under the radar a little bit this year.
A little bit. Alek is going with LSU. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I mean,
they are really one of the most underrated teams. They are.
But I mean, both of them really are.
Kentucky is really flying under that radar there. They have some good guys. I'm not going to try and pronounce some of those names, but good guys to keep them intact. And also their coaching, Calipari's been there for years. So he knows how to win. They had a down season last year. They definitely bounced back so far. And, look for them to make a big March run. But, they lost to Duke. They lost to Notre Dame as well. So they kind of have to prove themselves here in this game. They did beat North Carolina, but, North Carolina's been up and down this whole season. But, but versus LSU, I think LSU. I'm rolling with LSU here too. I like LSU. I like what they got here. They really are underrated. They have some pretty good wins. They did lose to they did just lose to Auburn, but and Auburn kind of got to them a little bit. But teams crack sometimes. I think LSU can pull out of this one. Once again, it's going to be a tight and a very close game. I truly believe that. You got pretty much these next couple games that we're previewing here, some of them are probably a foreshadow of March. Like, we might see this again. But you never know. You don't know how it's going to be set up. But Kentucky LSU definitely feels like a March game. So, it's going to be a great game. It's finally getting heated up here. We're within the final 3 months of the season here, and this is where things get interesting. This is where you see teams like LSU and Kentucky, become into contenders and move up more. But and you also see teams fall as well. And I don't think Kentucky's necessarily going to fall, but I really think LSU is shining and they're going to keep rising. And by winning this game, it's just going to shoot them up more and more. So, I think LSU's got the team, and I think they're going to win this game. So
I think both these teams, like I said, they're the same. I think they're both underrated. They both have the teams, like you're saying. And when this game, when I kind of look at the betting lines to see how close, sports books predict this game to be close. It opened up as a 1-point line, and now it only went up one more point to go to 2. So they're predicting this to be a close one. That's not to say it will be, but that's what people are thinking about it. I think I'm going to go Kentucky just to go the other way because we haven't really picked the other way. And not to say I don't think they can't win. I think, Matt, they're starting to play better. I know, I was disappointed when the game against Ohio State got canceled because I wanted to see them play against the Buckeyes because that would have been a good game to see. Both teams are playing good this year, and that really what it saw where both teams are at. Because other than that first game against Duke, which you can exclude them losing to because Duke's better than them, and it's the first week or so. It was one of those big games, out of conference games, so you can excuse that. But I want to see him make up for a Notre Dame loss, and I think a win like this would make up for a loss like
Yeah,
that.
it'd definitely be a bounce back win after the Notre Dame loss.
Yeah,
Notre Dame, another team flying in under the radar. Watch out
yeah,
for Notre Dame. Watch
yeah,
out
and they
for
haven't,
them.
which is good because they haven't really been good the last few years, and it'd be good
No,
to see them come
no,
back.
they've had a couple good teams, but they've been up and down.
Yeah,
I like their coach though. Mike Bray has coached well there, and I think he's finally getting that team back where they need to be. But
yeah,
for more on LSU, I mean, watch out for them. Just keep an eye out for them. You're going Kentucky. I'm going. Alek and I are going LSU. So if you don't have anything else here, let's move on to the next game.
yeah.
Very good. All right, next game here. Kind of think it's going to be a blowout, honestly. I don't know. Florida versus Alabama. I mean, it's a blowout in football, but Florida is 9-3, but Alabama, 10-3. They're really showing that they are a true contender of a team, and I don't think Florida is really all that. I mean, they've lost to Oklahoma, they've lost to Maryland, and they also lost to who was this team? The Texas Southern Tigers. Okay. That's who Florida lost to. The Texas Southern Tigers, by the way, Mike, you know what their record is? The Texas Southern Tigers are currently 2-8.
Nice, and they lose to them.
Yeah, and they lose to them. Alabama, yeah, Alek definitely going with Alabama here, but I'm definitely going Alabama here as well. They have lost some. They've lost some games. We punished them a little bit for losing those games, but they've lost good games. Not to 2-8.
Well, you know what, Matt? They lose
What?
to Iona. They lose to Memphis, who's a good team,
Yeah.
and they lose to
Iona
Davidson.
the Gales are emerging right now.
Yeah.
The Iona Gales are definitely emerging.
And they lose to Davidson, who that was an upset we predicted. So it's not. I'm not going to penalize them too much for that. But I dropped a little bit because of the way they've been slumping the last few games.
Yeah.
But look at the wins they have. They beat Gonzaga when they were 3. They beat Houston when they were 14. They beat Tennessee when they were 14. And so they have the good wins. They know how to play good basketball. But like I said, they haven't been playing that good the last few games. And that's why this game against Florida, it's not going to be a challenge to me. It's at Florida, but like you said, Florida really stinks this year. They lost some bad teams, and Alabama pretty much needs this one more. They lost, they're 2-4 in their last, or 2-2 in their last 4. That's not what they're hoping for. So I look for them to get a game win like this, and it's pretty handily. So I got to go Alabama.
Yeah, we're all going to Alabama across the board. Obviously, Alabama top team. Florida, if they want to maybe change my mind, this would be maybe an upset, but I really don't see it happening at all.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead. We got half an hour in the show here. Let's move on to Villanova. Mike, Villanova is your team. You like Villanova? I'm gonna let you take this for a second. This should be a pretty good game that they're playing. They're playing Xavier, or they're playing Creighton.
Yeah,
my bad. So that should be a pretty good game. Why don't you go ahead?
It's a game that's normally good between these two teams. We talked about with Seton Hall in Villanova's last game. That's another good game between two teams in the Big East. These are probably some of the better teams in the Big East. And, Villanova got a big bounce back win against Seton Hall. So that was good to see. And, I'm looking at this Creighton team. They're 10-3 in the Big East. They beat Marquette, who I know you like, Matt. They beat BYU when they were 24. They hung in there with Iowa State, and I know it's a team Alek likes when they were 19. So, Creighton's been battling. Villanova's hopefully starting to find themselves. Hopefully that win against Seton Hall was, a game that they could start feeling better about, because before that, they had a game postponed against Temple, but before that game, they beat Xavier, and Xavier's a good team that we've been talking about. And it was a good game for them to get back on track, and I look for them to get another win against Creighton like this one, because they need to start getting some momentum. This is a good part of the schedule.
They actually, Creighton has played Villanova already, and they've beaten Villanova. So I don't know if they can do that again, but it's very hard to beat a team twice. Creighton has, they've lost to Arizona State, they lost to Iowa State, and we all like Iowa State. We all think that they're going to be up there with Baylor, but they beat a good Marquette team, and they got some good games. They got Providence next, and then Xavier after that. So they have a tough next 3 games ahead of them. I think they're going to lose one of them. I think it's going to be Villanova. I think they'll pull this one out. I think they're starting to rebound a little bit. I think they're starting to find themselves a little more, and I think they can come back and beat Villanova after really getting blown out by, 79-59. I mean, that's not quite a close game. So hopefully they can learn what they did wrong from that game and possibly come back and, take this one. And I think that they are definitely going to do that here tonight. It should be a pretty good game. So, tough battle. All these games here have that March feeling. I've said that
they're getting in conference play.
Yeah, this game definitely has that March feeling.
And I like the last game against Seton Hall for Villanova. Colin Gillespie goes 21-4-2. That's their guy, and he's their leader in points and I believe assists too. Yeah, and assists. And Jeremiah Samuels, I like them getting him. He's starting to feel himself. He's leading the team in rebounds. So I don't know if we've seen enough to say that they're starting to find themselves, but that was a good start against Seton Hall in the last game to get a win like that. And I think they're going to rebound and get a win like this against Creighton because, like you said, they didn't win the last one against them. Why not get this one? And this is one of the tougher teams in the Big East.
This one?
Yeah.
So
I I'm going Nova. I for some reason I just like Villanova. I don't know why, but so I'm gonna keep going with them.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep. Yeah, I know you like Villanova. You're gonna keep rolling with them. I'm starting to get on that bandwagon just a little bit. But every time I pick against them, they're just like Alek. They end up winning. We picked against them.
Yeah.
This past game, and they ended up winning. And that was a pretty tough game that they pulled out, Mike.
And the last time they played Creighton, remember they got blown out, so they might come out in this game. It's at their place too. They might come out a little bit fired up, try to prove a point. So
yeah, they definitely proved a point. They beat Xavier. That was a pretty good win. They beat Seton Hall this last game where we all picked Seton Hall. They pulled that out, and we didn't think they were. And they said, "Hey, wait, don't doubt us ever again. We're hanging around here." So I think they're a kind of a different team now, and I think they're going to come out and definitely win this game. I think it could possibly happen.
Yeah.
But moving on here from the Villanova Wildcats, this one should be a pretty easy pick here. Let's slow down time a little bit here. We got to talk about this a little bit here. Iowa State, even though it might be hard because I'm definitely picking Iowa State over Texas Tech. But Iowa State, let's talk about what they have done this year. Alek going right away. It's one of his favorite teams. He has been high on them so far this year. They're 12-1. Their one loss coming to Baylor. What a close game that was.
5 points. You can't put yourself down on that.
Good loss. That was it was a good loss. They beat Creighton. They beat Xavier. They beat a Memphis team. They're a very solid team. Watch out for this team. Watch out for this team. They got some good games coming up here though as well. Texas Tech, they got to play Texas and Kansas and Oklahoma after Texas Tech. So they have a tough schedule coming up, and I think that's just going to build them even more and more, make them into a March miracle team, honestly.
Yeah.
Probably not even a miracle team, but more like a contender team. This team is for real. They're the Cyclones, and they're coming through. They're going to tear your town up. And I'm definitely going with them in this game.
I am too, Matt. We look at one of Iowa State's best players, Isaiah Brockington. We know all about him. He was former Penn Stater. One of the guys we lost in the transfer portal in the last year with Wheeler too. But this game's kind of tempting. Like I like Iowa. I like Iowa State.
Tech is good too. They're ranked 25th. So
yeah, and they got some good scores too. They got Shannon Jr. is their leading scorer with 14 a game. That's pretty good for your leading scorer in college basketball. But
their only loss.
Screw. I'm picking an upset here. I haven't picked one yet, so I'm going Texas Tech.
Pick it. Their only losses have came to Gonzaga and Providence. Providence beat them 72-68. Gonzaga beat them 69-55. So they were in both of those games. Gonzaga for the most part, but Gonzaga they like to pull away in the end. But
and they got this one's on the road.
This could be an upset. I won't be surprised if it is. I think Iowa State's a good solid team, and I'm not going to go away from them right now. They're kind of like Baylor. I'm not going to pick against them unless I really get a reason to. And losing to Baylor really doesn't give me a reason because I think Baylor's the best right now.
Yeah.
And they only lost to them, 77-72. So.
This one's on the road for Texas Tech. Some of the road they had a big road game against Tennessee. They won 57-52 in overtime against Tennessee on the road.
Yep.
And they only lost by 4 to Providence on the road. So this is a road game. I mean, they're pretty much battle tested on the road so far with those two I just mentioned. So I'm not really worried too much about them going on the road. So for some, I like Texas Tech for some reason. I really don't know why, but I guess I could just point to those two road games I just ran through.
You don't need a reason why. I mean, it's a gut feeling, and you're going with it. You don't need a real solid.
I'm confident because they haven't played too many road games this year, but they've done well in the some that they played. So they know how to go in tough environments.
They do. They've had some solid teams in the past as well.
Yeah.
Now moving on here, I know Alek is going to be shooting some stuff up here on the screen because we're talking his team. Yep, there it is already. We're talking the Buckeyes. Ohio State playing Indiana. Ohio State, what a solid team, Mike. What a solid team. E.J. Liddell. Who's the other guy? I'm sure Alek will pop a bunch of names up here.
Our boy Wheeler.
Yeah, Wheeler, another guy that got in the transfer portal from Penn State. Penn State losing another guy. Wheeler's good. Oof, what's his name? Shed? I forget.
Let me look at the roster.
I'm looking at the roster. I'm looking at statistics. But
Zed Key.
Yeah. Zed Key. He's sweet. He is sweet. Zed Key, I mean, 11 games. 10.1 points per game, 6.2 rebounds. I mean, look out for this kid. This kid is sweet. And, I mean, he's a good forward. I like what he's doing with this team. And, I mean, he's only a sophomore, too. He's a young kid. Wait till you see what this kid does in the future. I mean, look at that team. 35 points against Nebraska. That's unbelievable. I mean, this is definitely a solid team. And Ohio State, look at them. They may make a huge run in March Madness. Huge run. They've had some big runs before, going back to probably the beginning of the 2010s. They had Aaron Kraft, even with Russell as well. So look out for this team. I like their coach. I've liked their coaches in the past. Of course, the legendary Thad Matta. Now they're their head coach now. He's doing a pretty good job here at Ohio State. I like what he's doing here. And, I mean, I'm definitely picking Ohio State in this game. I mean, they got a pretty good team. That solid team. Alek has put some stats up there for you to see. There's another name, Chris Holtman. Yeah, Chris Holtman has done a great job. He has taken the reins from Thad Matta, who's literally a legend at Ohio State. He's taken over the reins, and he has done it effectively, Mike. He really has. So I'm picking Ohio State in this game, but that is no trash against their opponent. Okay.
No, it's not. I don't really know too much about Indiana this year, but got to give our Penn State a shout out. They just beat them the other day when they were 10-2.
Penn State beat them the other day. They did beat them. They're 10-3. That was a pretty good win too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 10-3
close
now.
one too. So I mean,
very, very close win.
And I don't know how Indiana's going to respond from that. Like I said, I don't know too much about their players, the way they've been playing this year, but they're going to be at home after this, after a loss like that, a tough road loss in the Big Ten at Penn State. A game they were in, they probably should have won, but I got to go Ohio State. I think they're a better team here.
Yeah. And look at that record there. That just says proves my point right there. 96-46 in his first 5 years. Yeah, he's taken over the reins fine.
I just think Ohio State's a more balanced team in this matchup.
They are. They definitely are. I mean,
I know Alek knows at the beginning of the year. It wasn't a shot at Ohio State. I was just questioning who they're going to get to step up after they lose Washington in the draft, and it seemed like they just had Liddell just as their player, but they've gotten guys to step up. They still have, Wheeler stepping up. They still have guys off their bench that were there from last year. So with Kyle Young, especially, I feel like has been there forever. I feel like
Kyle Young is sweet though, and I'll put that stat up about Malaki Branham. That kid's pretty good. 35 points against Nebraska. Look at what he's doing. And guess what, Mike? This kid is just a freshman. And he's a hometown hero, too. He's from Columbus, man.
Yeah.
6'5", 180 pounds. He's gonna build. And he's gonna become better. So they have a team set for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And they're just gonna keep recruiting as well. Ohio State has a great recruiting process, football as well. We all know that, and it includes basketball. So look out for this team in the future. I mean, they're going to be dangerous. They brought in the Weston brothers. Now they're bringing in other people. Just watch out. But, yeah, we're going Ohio State. We're all Buckeyes across the board here. But that's not jabbing Indiana. I like what they've done. Yes, they lost to Penn State. They lost to Syracuse. But they put up 110 points against Syracuse, who put up 112.
Yeah.
And that's That's amazing. I mean, they lost to Wisconsin, not by a lot, 64-59, and of course,
The one
losing
thing I
a
do know
tight
about
game to Penn
Indiana,
State.
I like Trace Jackson Davis. He can score for them.
Yeah, he
He's
can
putting up
score
almost
with
20
them.
games, so he can score.
Yeah, he's helped them defeat a bunch of teams, including Notre Dame. He
Yeah.
really helped them beat Notre Dame, and we were just talking about Notre Dame just a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on from that, here we're going to go into the Gonzaga next. Gonzaga's got a pretty big game coming up here. We'll see what they can do in this game. Mike, what do you got?
This is San Francisco team. I don't know anything
the
about him, but
Dons.
Alek was kind of talking about him last
Alek
time.
is high on him. Alek is high on the Dons of San Francisco. Yep, he's picking them too. He's been waiting for this moment this
I've been
whole
waiting
year.
to pick this upset for a while. Yeah, I'll give him credit for picking an upset. I just picked one too. I'm not 100% confident in it, but sometimes you just got a feeling, Matt.
Yeah, sometimes you just got that feeling. So, I mean, the Dons. Who went to the Dons? Didn't Bill Russell go to San Francisco and play for the Dons? I'm pretty sure he did.
Maybe.
Talk about it for a second. I'm gonna Google this.
Talk about this game.
Yeah,
I don't even have much on it. I don't know much about San Francisco. I like Gonzaga. I think they're.
I like what Gonzaga has done. Yes, but I mean, this is a potential upset here. Alek won some. I mean, still, yes, I knew he did. I just searched it too. Bill Russell did go to San Francisco. I mean, they've had a pretty good season. This is like their first big test though, and we're really going to see how they do against, Gonzaga, who's literally been a contender for years now. But I'm going to go with the upset here too. I think Gonzaga has lost some games. I know you're not, but I think Gonzaga has lost some games. Yeah, they beat Davidson. That was a pretty good team. But if Alek had that bell in here, we'd be ringing it right now. I got to go San Francisco here. I'm picking the Dons over the Bulldogs. Close game, no. Close game. Probably going to come down to the final shot. Maybe. But if it isn't, it might be a blowout. We don't know too much about the San Francisco team. Yeah, ding, 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 give me that upset. But we don't know too much about the San Francisco team. But we're definitely going to find out about them. We're going to definitely see what they have in store here tonight when they play Gonzaga. This game tomorrow at 9:00 at night. I mean, this is pretty good. Well, you know
West Coast game.
I just searched it. This game has actually been postponed.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I just Googled it. San Francisco game postponed due to COVID pause. Sorry there, Alek. I know you've been wanting to watch this
I
game.
just saw it. Gonzaga put it out.
This game is postponed.
So he's going to have to wait till next time they play in February.
Yeah, we'll have to wait. Dear God.
That stinks.
That does stink, man. I was hyped up about this game. I really was. But fortunately, we don't have let's go ahead and move on here. Gonzaga obviously having some COVID problems. They've had a couple games canceled here. So let's move on here. Let's move on into the Big Ten here. Mike, Iowa, Wisconsin, tough team. Wisconsin, we talked about them. They had that big upset the other night. They're 11-2 now. The big upset, against Purdue. How about them? How about Wisconsin in this game? What a great game. We did pick Purdue. I said it was going to be a close game, and it was. They won 74-69. Davis, 37 points in that game. The kid went off. We were talking really high about that kid, and he definitely did his job. 37 points, 2 blocks as well. 2 blocks. And I'm going Wisconsin in this game too. You take down one of the top dogs in the Big Ten. I know it's Big Ten play, and it's very tough play as well. I mean, the Big Ten is a very tough division to play in. We think they're one of the toughest divisions in basketball this year. So, look out for Wisconsin. Look out for Purdue too. These teams are tough. They're mean, and they'll play you physically, and they will score on you if you even let them. If you blink, they'll be gone. That's Big Ten teams and pretty much all of them in a hole. That's what they'll do. So, Mike, what do you got here? I'm going Wisconsin in this game, by the way.
That Purdue win they had, it was good. Obviously, good win for them. I saw the highlights at the end. Purdue was trying to make some plays to put it out, but Wisconsin, give them credit, Matt. Talk about how tough these Big Ten teams are. We know Wisconsin, how tough they are. They are in the tournaments. We know how they play, especially in the Big Ten tournament, NCAA tournament. They're scrappy, and that's what all these Big Ten teams are. And I think that's what Iowa is too. I mean, they don't really have a whole lot that sticks out on their schedule, but they're 11-3. I mean, they're 11-3 in the Big Ten, or overall. But I got to go Wisconsin as well. I think some of their games this year I haven't really felt confident in them, but they're starting to show some stuff.
They've had some.
Johnny Davis starting to play really good for them.
Their losses did come against Purdue, Illinois. Illinois has, they've kind of fallen off from last year, but I still consider them an okay team. But they also lost to Iowa State as well. And, I mean, the teams they beat Maryland. I mean, they beat Virginia. But, I mean, they don't really have that strong resume. This is where it's going to start getting tough here.
Yeah.
This is the Big Ten play is coming. I mean, they got Wisconsin, Indiana, Minnesota, Rutgers, who upset. Who they upset? They upset somebody pretty big. But let's look here.
Purdue, right?
Did they upset Purdue?
I think so.
I think so. I'm looking. Give us a break here. They did. They upset Purdue. What's his name? Ron Harper Jr., the son of Ron Harper, legendary basketball player, won championships with the Bulls and the Lakers. Ron Harper Jr. pulling off the huge win. They're 7-5. Keep an eye out for them. They're not the best team, but they're Big Ten, and I mean they can pull out some wins. That's for every Big Ten team. You can't take them lightly at all. So, I mean, look out for Iowa. So Rutgers beat Purdue. So. We'll just have to see here. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, I got to go Wisconsin.
Yeah, I got to go Wisconsin.
I talked about in the last game we picked with them. I think we picked that Purdue game, right?
Yeah, we did pick that.
I was kind of concerned because Johnny Davis leads them in everything, the big main three stat categories, but it didn't matter in that Purdue loss or win that they had. So I guess I was wrong in thinking that. Not to say that other guys step up. It's just that he's leading them and stuff. And Iowa's a tough team, though. They're going to scrap, but Wisconsin, I just talked about, Matt. And these type of games, tournament games, they scrap too. All these Big Ten teams do. So I like what Wisconsin's doing after that big win against Purdue.
Yeah, me too. But let's move on here, Mike. Coming near the end of the show, it's 2:48. Yep. Got about 12 minutes left here. Let's move on. Let's speed past these next couple of games here, and we'll get on to the next sport here. But next game, Kansas versus also we just talked Texas Tech. But this game coming on the 8th at 4. And, Mike, why don't you go ahead and give me your rundown here. Kansas pretty good. So we'll have to see your Alek going with Kansas immediately there. You see they do have too much talent. They are a blue blood program. And I really think they have too much talent for Texas Tech as well. But, Mike, why don't you go ahead here. I
mean, look at the talent. I'll give you some of it. Abaji is one of the best players in the draft. He's going to be a top pick this year. Christian Braun, he's their rebound leader, and I like what DeJuan Harrison Jr. has been doing. I think he's their assist leader too. Yeah, so they're getting balance. I always talk about I like balance. And I got to go Kansas as well. I think they're just on paper.
There's just too much.
Eye test. They're just the better team. Yeah,
they're just too much power. I like Texas Tech 10-2.
I picked them to win against Iowa State, so I do like them.
Yeah, I do like them, but Kansas, like Alek said, blue blood program. They know what they're doing. Good coaching there as well. But, I got to go Kansas here. So we're going Kansas across the board here. We're in the final 10 minutes of the Casual Sports Podcast, and we're talking. Here's our final college basketball game. And this one might be a little it might be close. But you never know. TCU, this is the team that that we might be picking against. I'm not going to reveal that team. Yeah, all right, here we revealed it. They're playing Baylor. Yeah, look at them now. I mean, they're 10-1, but look at the teams they have played, though. I mean, and they lost. I mean, they lost to the Santa Clara Broncos. I mean, so I don't know. I mean, they are 10-1, but I mean, I don't think they're a match whatsoever.
No,
Baylor,
I mean, they have some decent wins. Utah, I guess, is a decent win. Georgetown's a decent win.
I can see why Alek picked this game to look at. TCU 10-1.
Texas A&M, they beat on the road.
Yeah, I can see why you picked this game to talk about. But Baylor, just too much power, man. We've been talking about them for weeks. We've been talking
Hmm.
about them for months, pretty much.
I like
There's too much power.
what Alex said for this game. Is literally what I had word for word, short and sweet. I like TCU. I think they can maybe make it close, but Baylor's,
But
like we said, they're one until they're not.
yeah, yeah.
Not to
So
say it can't happen, but in this could be a game that they get knocked off. I don't know. Any game you can get knocked off, but until it happens, you got to keep rolling with them.
yep, just got to keep rolling with them. But that's going to be moving out of the college basketball. Let's go into a little NBA here. We'll fill some time with that. Tonight's NBA game is we're picking the Spurs and the Raptors. So the Spurs 14-21, 7-11 away. Raptors 16-17, 9-10 at home. Not really good teams right now,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's our job to talk about it. So, I mean, what can you take about this Spurs team, Mike? I know you
Not a
like
whole
Dallas
lot.
teams, but you look at 59.1% that the Raptors are going to win this game. So I mean, they're 9-10 at home. I mean, I don't know what's going on with. I mean, the Raptors of old. I mean, they got blown out by the Cavs by 45 points.
Yeah.
They got a couple games postponed, but they ended up going and beating the Warriors. So, and then they had another couple games postponed. They lost a close game to the Nets. So, Alex is going with the Raptors. They have some young talent. Yeah, I think they have some young talent. They're 16. They're around 500. They have a potential to make a big run this year as well. So we'll just have to wait and see, what we see from this Raptors team. Like I said, 16, 17, third in the Atlantic Division. Fred VanVleet still on their team. That's probably, and I like Scotty Barnes as well. But Fred VanVleet, 20.9 points per game. Look at this guy. Look what he's done for Toronto.
Yeah.
Honestly, he was a bench player. With the years with Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, but he has cemented himself into this starting rotation. Look at this guy. This guy was an undrafted guy from Wichita State. This guy's yeah, and there's some slim pickings. We do
That's
got the
fine.
Cavs.
And I kind of like this matchup a little bit.
Yeah, I like this matchup, and we do got the Cavs in Memphis tonight. That should be another good game there.
Yeah.
We would all pick the Cavs anyways, but
I gotta go. I gotta go Raptors as well. I kind of was tempted. I was tempted to pick the Spurs, but they got a lot of guys out.
They do.
They don't really have like too many interesting guys, but their best player with DeJounte Murray, he's out, or it says he's out till at least January 1st. But we're a couple of days past that line with the COVID stuff, so I don't know if he's going to pass test to play. So I don't know what his status is. Doug McDermott's going to be out. Lonnie Walker's still out. He's averaged 18, 8, and 8. So I got to go Raptors. I think they have more guys available, and I think Matt, I like the way the young guys are playing too.
Yeah, me too. And I also like Gary Trent Jr. on this team. They got him in that trade from Portland, I believe, last year. So I like this young team. I do agree with Alek. I think they can make a pretty big run this year.
Yeah.
Later this season. So I'm going with them. All right, now the NBA here. Let's move into the NHL here. Calgary Flames, and we got the Florida Panthers. Two pretty good teams here, Mike. And I'm sure Alek. Let's see what Alek picks here. I'm sure he's typing up something right now. He's probably gonna stick with that algorithm he keeps using. But Florida Panthers, they're a pretty tough team here, Mike. What do you think here? This tough hockey team. They've had some games postponed, but they came back and have won 3 in a row since their postponement. They had 4 games postponed. But then they since beat a good Rangers team, a good Lightning team, and Canadians are always a team that you have to deal with. And now they got to go and face a good Calgary team. They're on a winning streak now. They're second in the Atlantic Division. I like what they're doing this year. They have, I like their players too. They have some pretty solid players on this team. I like Anthony Duclair. Not 12 goals on the season, 41 points for Jonathan Huberdeau. He's pretty good as well on this team. So look out for these guys. Okay, those are those 2 main guys leading this team right now. And of course they have a pretty good supporting cast as too. Aaron Ekblad is pretty good, coming off of the left wing there. So I like what he's doing, and pretty solid team. I said that. 21-7-4. But I mean, the Flames are not too shabby either. They still got Johnny Gaudreau. Johnny Gaudreau is pretty good. 36 points, 13 goals on the season. So he's been their leader there for years. So he's going to be their difference maker in this game. But I'm gonna go with the Florida. I'm going with Florida. Alek is going with Calgary here. Panthers have an amazing offense, and I picked them 90% of the matchups. But wow, yeah, just 67 goals. Yeah, they have a pretty good goalie here. But I'm going to go away from Alek, and I know he's got that little thing that he does that has been working this year. He has a pretty good record. I'm sure he'll shoot that up on the screen here within seconds. So what his NHL record is has worked out for him. But I'm going to go away from that. I'm going to go Florida Panthers. I think they have a tough team. They score, but maybe they can crack that short goal that they he's 25-12 in the season so far. That's pretty good. But I think Florida can crack Calgary here. Yes, they have a good defense, but we'll see what happens. So it should be a pretty good game. Mike, what do you have here?
These are two teams we've been talking about a lot.
Yep.
Now we can see them face off against each other. Matt, I got to go Florida for pretty much the same reasons you were saying. It seems like they're starting to score a little bit more coming off the games that have postponed. They put up 9 against Tampa. Tampa's 2-time defending Stanley Cup champion, so they put up 9 against them, so it's pretty good.
17,
you put up. Oh, you're 17. Oh, we're both under 500. That's good.
Yeah, that's all right.
We're supposed to know hockey.
I got more wins.
Yeah.
I just like watching the hockey.
I do too. But I got to go Florida. I like what they're doing this year. They've been kind of building to this point. And this is a good matchup against two good teams that we've been talking about. Like I said, and they're going to get to go head to head. I got to go Florida at home tonight.
Yeah, I got to go Florida. Yeah, we're going Florida here. But that's gonna do it here on the Casual Sports Podcast. We'll all be back here tomorrow. Alek will hopefully be joining back with us here. Mike, what a heck of a game that was last night. Hopefully we can go plenty more together. That'd be, any sporting event. But that's going to do it here on the Casual Sports Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you all here tomorrow. And have a good day, everybody.